We know as of right now, 32 people were rescued in Lamoille County. The majority of those came overnight. More than 200 rescues have been made statewide since Sunday. 11 towns in Vermont have boil water notices in place, including Morrisville, where the water, we understand, is not safe to drink at all. We will have more from Morrisville in a few minutes. But moments after today's briefing, the FEMA administrator, governor, and congressional delegation toured parts of central Vermont. They flew in just hours earlier. Some even got an aerial view of the destruction. ABC 22's Josh Morrill joins us live from Barrie to tell us what the state and federal leaders are doing to start this recovery process. Josh?
Yeah, Lauren, state leaders updated us on the conditions here in the Green Mountain State around 11 a.m. this morning. And right after that, a FEMA administrator and Governor Phil Scott jumped in a helicopter and got a bird's eye view and did a full statewide assessment looking at the damage from Bennington all the way up to nearly to Canada. And then I got to join in on a local assessment here in Barrie on 2nd Street, where you can see some significant damage still. I talked to a number of landlords and people living here, and this is how it went.
We are now living through the worst natural disaster to impact the state of Vermont since 1927.
As many in the Green Mountain State are starting the cleanup process, pumping their basements and excavating mud from their lawns and driveways. Local leaders say safety is number one.
Regardless of river levels, our waterways are not safe right now. The currents are fast. There is a tremendous amount of debris.
Rescue missions are still ongoing, and the Department of Public Safety tipped its cap to local crews, saying there have been no deaths as a result of the flood, while transportation officials gave their own good news, saying most of the infrastructure built since Irene has held up.
So we are looking to do things like that, to create a wider opening for debris and more water to pass through bridges.
Infrastructure in other areas wasn't as resilient, as Governor Phil Scott and the state's federal delegation made their way down 2nd Street in Barrie Wednesday afternoon, where they witnessed the aftermath of the tragedy that struck Scott's hometown.
These folks were struggling full time, trying to make ends meet, trying to get by, just living their lives, getting to work every day. This is more burden on them.
Joining Scott was FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell. She flew in Wednesday with the congressional delegation, but some FEMA representatives have been here since Monday. Her team has helped coordinate rescue crews and provide other resources. And while they are still in assessment mode, Criswell had an important message for those affected.
Get out and start cleaning up, but document it. Take pictures, write down what happened, just so you have that recollection. And as you work with either your insurance adjusters or if and when the additional FEMA programs are turned on.
Barrie's mayor and other city leaders stopped by to hear the needs of those hurting, and local landlords say they are working with home heating and electrical companies to expedite the recovery.
We're putting an inventory list together because I'm sure there's going to be a long waiting list for a lot of that stuff because everybody else is going to be wanting that stuff too.
And to help those like Tim Jarvis, Senator Bernie Sanders says he's going to fight to hold insurance companies accountable.
We're going to be watching that very, very closely. If anybody has any issues with insurance companies, thinks they're not getting what they're entitled to, give us a ring.
And FEMA says that the money coming here to Vermont really depends on the assessments both today and in the coming days as well. And they say that they'll still be deploying rescue crews and food and water and any other needed resources in the days to come as well. Now let's go over to Mike Hoey in another section of downtown Barrie, where he has more on the local business impact here in the Granite City.